Hey everybody, I am back. It is day 7 of Mass Make March 2023, hosted by Cindy at Studio Lou. And today's prompt is page tabs. This is going to be another one that is, I'm not going to say it's kind of tricky for me, but it's something that I don't, again, I create my journals and my ephemera and the embellishments and all that when I'm doing my journals. And so to make up these extras is a little different and out of the ordinary for me. So, so yeah, I don't have a stash of page tabs, nor, well, I do now, but I say nor do I have a stash of clusters or journal cards, but I'm building my stash now. So, so page tabs. I think there's probably a good several ways you can do this. I think your typical, let me see here. How do I want to do this with giving you guys examples? I guess I'll use my example of that I'm doing with my my seashell journal that I've got going on here. I can use that as an example. We can play with that page. So, of course, there's several different ways you can do page tabs. The most common, I think, is probably going to be just your folded scrap a piece of paper and, fold it around and glue it to your corner, and then you have a tab. That's going to be probably your most common way. You can easily add a folded piece of scrap paper, a folded piece of fabric. Real simple. Do a little folded piece of lace. You got your tab here. So there's several different ways you can do it. You can use, some of the clusters that we made, and use those as a tab. Essentially, basically, you want something that hangs off of where you want a tab. You can use flowers as your tab, or attach a leaf, an artificial leaf, or some other sort of embellishment. Several different options. You can do, little snippets as your tab. Several different options to play around with. One thing that I wanted to play around with today, again, I live by the airport, so, and my windows and doors are open because it's nice out, so you have to excuse all that airport noise interrupting our chaos here. One thing I wanted to play around with, I've been watching Pam at the Paper Outpost. If you guys don't watch her or follow her, you should. She's very informative, very educational on all things junk journal. She's always got kind of some sort of little tutorial going on. And she's fun to listen to. So, I was watching a couple of her videos on page tabs, and she did a couple using the big paper clips. So I wanted to play around with that a little bit today and see what we could come up with. Let's see. I didn't make up any samples. I do have my little tests that I was playing around with actually earlier today. So these are obviously not for a journal, but these are my prototypes that I was playing around with. So she showed, in the video, she showed like 3 different kinds, and I just went to her page and typed, searched page tabs, and this little main video came up. And she goes over 3 different types of page tabs using the big paper clips. And I really liked 2 of the ways that she did. Maybe she went over 4. I don't know. But anyways, I really came away with really liking 2 of them. So I wanted to play around with 2 different ones tonight and see what we could come up with. One of them is a little tricky. The other one's pretty plain and simple. So the plain and simple one is basically you have a folded piece of paper, your scrapbook paper or whatever, and you tuck it in all the way up to, you have your paper clip. You have your 1 loop on the top and 2 loops on the bottom. And like Pam said, the bottom is where it's going to grab the paper. So you want this part to be open so you can grab the paper and tuck it on your tab. So basically these page tabs are removable, which is kind of cool. Because you never know, your recipient of your journal may want something different. They can move them around or use them as just regular clips or however. So anyways, the first one she showed is simple paper with tuck it into the short side and you glue, and so then you have your tabs. So I want to do a couple of those. And then the second one she showed, which is a little tricky, maybe I'll show it like clipping paper together. But this is it. Again, this is my sample. But it clips onto, it's covered on both sides. So like this one, you have the paper clip showing. This one is covered on both sides, so you can decorate on both sides. But it is kind of tricky. So I wanted to play around with that. You can see how much is involved with that guy. So I wanted to play around with those 2 today and see what I could come up with. So that's what I want to do. That's what I want to get started. I just grabbed from my scrap stash. And that's probably, you're going to want, maybe I don't want that one. Maybe I'll grab another piece from my scrap stash. So the way that she kind of had this, you wanted it about the size of the small clip, because you want your small end of your clip, of your double end, to rest on it, and basically tuck this up here. So another thing I thought that she didn't really, she went over part of this, but she didn't really go over, here I go again, away from the camera, because I thought of 10 other things that I was not prepared to at my desk. That's how it goes. What she was showing on this is that, so once you do this style and you glue it together, you have this little, I don't know if you guys can see it. You see that little hook, or it's the top part of the paper clip, but it's going to hang out, and you can easily add a charm or a dangle there, before you glue it, or after you glue it, either way. She showed tying just some embroidery floss and making a little tassel on it. So that's an option as well. So I want to play around with that as well. So I'm going to set the more difficult one aside, and maybe we'll make some of these and either add a charm. I got my box of charms and goodies out. This is my jewelry box type charms. And then, of course, I have charms. 2 things of those charms. So, if we went with this little nature type themed, and we're going to move past that because there was a rip in there. I'm I'm sure there's a better way to do this. I'm not a fan of measuring and cutting and all that good stuff, unfortunately. But I feel like we're just gonna go with it. So if we have this little guy, we tuck him in here. See on that, I don't really have on this size. I don't really have much of a doohickey, which is okay. So maybe if we do a bigger size, I'm sure there's an exact science to this. So he needs to be. I don't do well with this because my brain overthinks it real quick and gets me in trouble real quick. Yeah, so okay, so it needs to be shorter to make that little loop pop up. So let's try that. Make it a little shorter. And if we took this guy in here, and if we glued it, see it needs to be longer. Okay. So it needs to be somewhere in between these sizes, haha. Maybe if we just trim off a little of this guy. And we tuck you in here. No, that's not right, because the little guy goes in the inside. Little guy on the inside. That gives me a really big, maybe my size was correct and I just had my paperclip wrong. Okay, one more shot with this little scrap. Let's see, we'll get it eventually. Again, like I said, my brain doesn't compute when you deal with measurements and things like that. So, no, we're still a little big. I may end up using all my scraps just trying to figure out the right size. Let's just go with this. And let's trim it down just a little bit. See if that got us where we needed it to be. Little guy on the inside. Yeah, little guy on the inside. Trim it down a little bit. Once we figure out what size we need, then I can just cut some scraps to that size, and then we won't be doing this back and forth. Little guy on the inside. Why am I not liking this? What's the problem? I know what the problem is. I'm overthinking it. That's what the problem is. I don't want to use all my scraps by cutting all this up, but no, it is the little guy on the inside. Surely there's a trick to measuring this, because see, that just little snippet made him really big. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? How about we set the good scraps aside and pull up some of this just plain scrap. Maybe we'll start with that and I need to decide why. Tell me why this is doing what I want it to do. I want that little bitty loop, and then the big loop's going to stick out. But this guy is not doing that. Why are all my samples not doing that? You guys having fun watching me try to figure this? Okay, so that is good. That is good. Because I'll glue this shut, and I'll have a little doomahickey. Okay. I'm starting to feel it now. And then, of course, my mouth will be open to where I can clip it there. Of course, this will be glued, so with the dangle. Okay. Okay. So take all these apart that are not making sense to me for whatever weird reason. And this is going to be my sample, my prototype, my size comparison. And funny enough, they match. They're the exact same size, essentially. So tell me why. Little guy on the inside. Tell me why I don't have a loop here. Okay, maybe they're not the same size. Little guy on the inside, and fold it and glue it, and we have accomplished what I want. That little guy. So, back to this thought of putting a little dangly. Let me find one that's kind of matchy-matchy. You know, here again we have this whole bucket of goodies. And when I go to find one I want, it's not what I want. I can't find what I'm looking for. I think that's kind of ugly. What is that ugly thing doing in my... And that's bright pink. Okay, we're going with the next one that pulls out. Okay, that's a goldish ball next to the silver. I'm going to be too OCD about that, I think. How about... This one might work. Okay, so we want it to, we're going to thread it on this clip here. Circle it around. And kind of have it here. And we are going to glue this in place. We are just going with this. Oh, maybe I want to round my corners. You know, I love a good rounded corner. Okay, hopefully that doesn't throw me off by taking that off. Yep. We want the rounded corner. Nice. Little guy on the inside. We glue this and that dangles. Okay. Getting some good glue up in here. We're going to glue on the paper clip. Make it happen. This is this paper that I used here is scrap-up paper, but it's from a scrap that had been tea dyed, so it has a little bit of weight to it, which is a good thing, I think. Move that away. Okay, we're just going to play around with this and see what becomes of. Get our little sample out. And our sample's not even straight. Trim down our little scrap. And we want to go ahead and around the corners. And the little guy goes on the inside. And we have a little loop-de-loop, and that's what we wanted. And then we'll see what else we have in here. That would work. It's kind of brown, but we're going to go with it. Move that onto our clip, and so it's dangling there. I kind of like that. My glue. Get some glue up in there. Smoosh it down on my glue pad because glue will go everywhere. I like these. Let me see if I have some more of that scrap paper that I liked. We can do. I guess I do. So we'll move on to a different kind of paper. That's okay. Yeah, because we determined he was too small. We'll use him for something else. Another day. Okay. This guy, and we decided we liked the corner rounding. I always get it sidetracked, and I want to put the big guy in the middle, but the little guy goes in the middle in order for us to have that. Okay, got those guys. Maybe I'll have a handful of matches. Okay, that's pretty. Maybe I'll do that with those three. Surely we have enough to do 3 of these guys. Trim them down. And trim them down. And so Pam, excuse me, Pam at the Paper Outpost, she had a couple of them made up, and they were so cute. And she had her little word snippets on them. So you can easily add word snippets depending on how you want your tabs. And so I printed off some word snippets of my own. I think she has them in a kit of hers, but I just did a Word document and typed up my own little snippets. You can always put a bead on here, or, I mean, you could make it more fancy than just that. I just kind of like the simplicity of that. So, that's what I'm going with. Little guy on the inside. It may even actually be easier to thread these on before I put the paper on, but again, I don't want it to confuse me as to what end goes where and all of that. So we are just doing our random process. So I don't know that, because I'm just looking at my time, and since it took me a minute to figure this out, I don't know that I'll be making too many of the other, because those were a brain drain when I was playing with them earlier today. Pam does really good at explaining how she did them. She does a better tutorial than I do. So I we may make one or two of them, but I'm going to highly suggest you jump on her. It's Pam at the Paper Outpost. She's another one of my favorites. Cindy is a favorite, and Pam is a favorite. They're just so full of information and inspiration and ideas and knowledge when it comes to all this junk journaling stuff. And they're just a treasure, both of them. Again, I follow several people, but, we all have our favorites. All have our favorites. I'm just putting some glue down and essentially gluing this paper clip to, sandwiching it between these papers. And making a little page tab. There's the airplane. Oh, you know what? I'm going to add some words to these, I think. I printed off some words and just on regular white paper. Came home and sprayed them down with some coffee, so they're not so bright white. Because that bright white just throws us for a loop for whatever weird reason. So, these were the word snippets that I have. And my thinking is that, different places in your journal. Let's do, essentially, hopes, wishes, and dreams are about the same thing. I mean, I guess you could consider them about the same thing. You hope you have this, or you wish you have this, or you dream you have this. So maybe thoughts and ideas are the same thing as well. So thoughts. Although, again, I'm overthinking it. I like wishes, hopes, and dreams. I think that's fun. So we're just going to go with that. Even though they essentially are the same thing. I was thinking of, page tabs as dividers in your journal. I think that's how Pam was talking about them. For a functionality type. I don't have the fancy, little dauber thing and the fun dies and all that. So they're just going to have to be plain and simple like that. I guess I could get out my ink box, my stamp box, and dig through my inks and see if I had any inks to play around with, but that's for another day. Another day, another dollar. So yeah. So So these will be on the outside, so yeah, put some little word snippets on it. And of course you could put any kind of word snippet. I just was thinking of in the regard of like kind of different sections in your journal. You could write your wishes here and your hopes here and your dreams here, and then when you look and realize they're all the same. I mean, I guess they could be different, but I guess they could be. It would be interesting to dig up in the dictionary to see how they're defined, if they're defined differently. Because to me, essentially, they're the same thing, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're not. Okay, so let's play around with our other option. Now, this one's going to require a long piece of paper. Let's see here. That may be the trick, because I didn't pull out the long pieces of paper. This, which I don't know how pretty that'll be, but we're going to go with it. We're going to do the Cindy trim on this one. This may be too thin paper, but we're going to try and see. Maybe I'll make a bigger one. Who knows? We may like this. This may be our best one yet. I wonder what this is from. Mead Johnson, Behavioral Observations. I don't know. Okay, so looking at this one that I played around with earlier, this one has the long guy in the middle. So the long guy's in the middle. Long guy in the middle. And then we fold. And then we have this one still exposed. We'll get our folds in and then we'll figure out where we need to glue. And we fold again. And then we fold and tuck in. So we need to trim you up so you can fold and tuck in. And she did say that they may be a little off center, which is okay. And so if this is our case, we can get our little sample here. It clips on in both front and back. Okay, so that works. So now we got to figure out how to glue this guy. So let's take him back apart. Tricky little bit. Okay, we're going to first glue the long guy in the middle. We're going to go this way with it. Okay, so long guy in the middle this way. All right? And then, nope, I gotta flip it over. Long guy in the middle this way. And we flip it over, and so we need to glue this part. I guess we can round our corners when we're done. We'll see. This may be a square one. fold into there. And then we fold again. And so this guy should be glued. Nope. He can't be glued because if you glue it, then you won't open. So he tucks in here. He just tucks. Guess you could figure out a way to glue. Let's see here. You can put glue on this, maybe. Let's see if that works. Okay, make a bigger mess because this will tuck and slide in. And so my glue is on this side. And as it folds in, getting everything straightened up, we can squeeze it together. And I think that did it. So then we have our page here. And of course you don't have to put it all the way. You can make it a tab. Yeah, that's kind of cool. You can trim him up to make him even. And I wonder if we can even do, looky there, we were able to round our corners. Although we didn't round this guy corner. Yeah. But for the most part, he's a rounded corner. Okay. Well, interesting. Let's do another one with that same paper. Let's get down to maybe, where am I at on my time? Okay, I got a little bit of time. Maybe we can do 2 more with this paper. Again with the matchy. And we'll figure out a way to decorate them or something. So, back to our sample. We got the long guy on the inside, and is that, yeah, long guy on the inside. And we fold, okay, so where, however you want it to look needs to be on the outside. Because I want this blue on the outside, so long guy in the middle, and we fold, and we crease, and we glue. I bet I could glue with okay, my glue stick got threads all over it. Oh well, we don't care. Inside. And then fold us again. And then this is going to tuck in, so this needs to be trimmed. Because it's going to tuck in. So let's go ahead and let's make sure he tucks in. Okay, he does tuck in, and so you know what I'm going to do first. I'm going to round his corners, see if that works. Your corners are rounded, sir. Okay, and so we want a little bit of glue here. To catch that tuck. And as with anything, the more you do them, the less intimidating and confusing they are. I am curious as to how that will stick together versus, the glue versus the glue stick. That'll be interesting. Long guy on the inside, our pattern on the outside. And we're folding, and we're folding, and we're going to figure out our tuck. It's going to be about that long. So, we're folding, and then we're folding. Oh, and I was like, where is this going? We are going to catch our corners. It's like, how many corners do we have here? And then we got glue stick on this guy here. Shame I didn't do my glue book. I'm using my table. Whew. Everything's coming apart. Okay. Tuck this in here. Tuck it and straighten it in. Okay. I feel this one's real gluey and sloppy for some reason. Did I put my glue in the wrong spot? No. Okay. And so with this, we can decorate. We can put a little snippet, a word snippet if we wanted to. It's already got words on it, so let's see if we can find something else. I don't know, I was just grabbing that. That was handy, so I grabbed it. The snippet box is kind of empty right now, and I'm okay with that. Except for I'm almost thinking and wondering. Those guys are too big. I'm almost thinking and wondering if we even need anything. I mean, I guess we could put some words on it, but the problem with the words is they kind of blend in. So I actually think I might just leave these alone. And you know what I just thought of? I can probably could probably add thread or whatever to these if you wanted to. So yeah, that's that. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna call it done. I'm gonna round my corners. Did I not round my corners? Like I said, how many corners are on these little guys? Okay, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to call this done. Again, page tabs is not something that, it's really not something I use a lot of. So, it's not a wonder I don't have, it's a wonder I don't have them in my stash. So, let's just see what we did. We got this guy that clips and this matchy guy clips, and again, you can have them coming off your page or to make a tab. You guys see? And these have the little dangle, and you can tuck them in, and they still have a little bit of a tab because you've got your jewelry. So These have an exposed paper clip, and I might go back and add. Let's just do that real quick. I just thought I was done, but this will just take 2 seconds. If I can find my glue stick. I'm going to use this as a glue board. We're going to have a journal, and we are going to have a to-do. I'm going to throw that away. Yep. Okay. So, we have a journal and a to-do, and we got the little jewels on them. These can flip off to the side to where you can see them and be like, oh, yep, that's what I want to do. So we got these 2 guys, and then we got these 3 that we did the word snippets, and we did the jewels, all the matching jewels on these 3, the little beads. And we got dreams, wishes, and hopes. Those turned out really kind of cute. And again, they can tuck down, or you can pull them up and have them as tabs. You can move them in and out throughout your journal, whichever works best for you. They do have the exposed clip as well. And then we did these guys that were the little tricky guys. This is where you can see my rounded corner. But these hang off as tabs. These are, I guess, these feel like the more solid tabs because they're actually tabs. But they're front and back, and of course you can use any kind of paper and decorate them any kind of way. You know, and they'll go flat to the thing, or you can poke them up to have like a tab. So, I'm pretty pleased with that. Like I said, Pam at the Paper Outpost had this idea, and I think they turned out really good. Let me stick them on some paper so we can see them. We have hopes and dreams and wishes. And so these are removable page tabs. So we did 6, 7, 8. That's pretty good considering I didn't really know what I was doing when I started this. So yeah. So that was our page tabs. And we did 8 of them, we said. 8 of them, and we're done with that one. And funny enough, tomorrow's is altered paper clips. So we may do some more tomorrow and call them altered paper clips. I really do like these guys, these 3 up here. I really do like these. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to call it a day for this, for page tabs. Again, thank you for joining me on Mass Make March 2023. If you guys are joining in on this fun, be sure and hashtag it on your social medias. It's hosted by Cindy at Studio Lou. So check out her videos, because she does, I think she did 60-something page tabs today, which, again, there's 1,000 different ways to do page tabs. So, yeah, so there you go. Thank you for joining me, and be sure and like and subscribe, and tell all your junk journaling friends about this chaotic mess here, and come create with me. We will see you guys tomorrow for altered paper clips, and I'll try to come up with something different than these, since I've already kind of altered these paper clips. We'll make it different somehow, some way, or maybe we won't because we like them so much. Anyways, thank you, and we will see you tomorrow.